Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome you all here today. A special welcome to the ambassadors and to the people who've travelled all the way here to New Zealand. It's a long way to come and we really do appreciate you. I've got a small presentation here to give to you. We're actually down on the program to talk to you this morning. I'm here filling in for Rick Peterson as well, who's down to talk to you a little bit later in the session. And I wondered with the organisers whether it would just be all right for me to speak once and to go through this presentation that I've got now and to provide a welcome address. Is that all right with you?
Although we're German, we do have a certain amount of flexibility.
I'm very pleased to hear that. It's the New Zealand way as well. We like to be flexible as well. So events like this are really important to us here in New Zealand, and I'd just like to talk a little bit about why they're so important to us. And this slide, I think, illustrates it very nicely. For those of you who have flown here, congratulations. You have come a long way, and no wonder it will feel to you like you are at the bottom of the world. But I think what this slide shows is that it's very important for New Zealand because we are such a long way away from where the centres of major activity are, to be connected internationally. If we want our science to be of a very high international calibre, if we want it to be connected internationally, then we need to be involved in the networks. Also, if we want to export, we need to be involved in the networks. And so working around the Asia Pacific region and into Europe is clearly where we want to be, and we're keen to support our people in New Zealand to get involved in those networks. For those of you who haven't been to New Zealand before, and I understand some of you have only just recently flown in, and so you may not realise, but New Zealand is really two islands, the North Island and the South Island, and we've got really, so to make it simple to remember, and Wellington is in the middle, so that's why it's part of the capital city. It's geographically in the middle as well. We're a similar size to Japan or to Britain, but we only have 4 million people, so very small population-wise. And this leaves us with quite a lot of land, and the land is very suitable for growing plants, for growing crops and for growing livestock. So it's not surprising that the main part of our economy is dominated by agriculture. And we also have a good climate for growing agricultural plants, and we have plenty of water as well. So that's why agriculture is such an important part of our economy. However, the government is keen to diversify that economy, and like a lot of other countries around the world, it has set for us an economic growth agenda, and they've made that a top priority for them. And to help us achieve our economic growth, they've put in place a number of initiatives to support this. And these initiatives are there. Now, this isn't an economic forum, so I'm not going to go through them, but what I do want to say is that the main point from the slide really is the last bullet point, which is around the role of science and innovation. And our government, and it comes from the top, our Prime Minister believes very strongly that science and innovation are the key to our economic development, and also for all the social and making New Zealand a better place to live as well. So this diagram shows you the research priorities for New Zealand, and these are the ones which the government invests in. And you can see that the biological industry is at the top there, that red colour. That's where most of our research has been because of the importance of agriculture to our economy. But I want to draw your attention to the high value manufacturing and services area. This one over here. We're putting a lot of research into this area to help us to diversify our economy. The other thing I want to show you with this diagram is to point out the centre bit in there. So there's some key things in there around international relationships and around national research facilities, and these are really core to supporting all the research that is carried on around the outside in the different coloured areas. And I'll talk a little bit about those priority areas in a minute. So the government has put in place a number of initiatives to support science in New Zealand. They've appointed a Chief Science Advisor to the Prime Minister's office, and that appointment was made about 2 years ago. And Professor Sir Peter Gluckman is our first Chief Science Advisor to the Prime Minister. And this is really helping to raise the profile of science in New Zealand. It's really making sure that science is used to form our policy, and making sure that science is really helping us to, for our society and for our economic development. There's been a few other changes as well into the structure, and that's the formation of the Ministry of Science and Innovation, which is the organisation that I work for. And this organisation was formed by bringing together two different groups, one which looked after the policy around science, and the other one which was the organisation that invested the science money. And so we brought those two together to form this Ministry of Science and Innovation, which will continue to invest the taxpayers' money into research and innovation in New Zealand. And as well, it's got a new role, and that is around monitoring and ownership of the Crown Research Institutes. The government has also put more resources into encouraging businesses to carry out research and development, and this slide summarises some of these initiatives. We're trying to work with firms that, a range of firms, those who have emerging capabilities and those that already have strong R&D capabilities. So there's a number of different schemes which have been announced recently that are being developed for those ones, from vouchers, which are quite small to help small businesses, through to the larger technology grants for the larger businesses. And there's also quite a lot of support down the bottom of the slide there around commercialisation centres as well, to help with the commercialisation of science. It's a key priority for us. One of the key areas that I talked about earlier, one of the priorities, is around enabling infrastructure. And the government has set infrastructure as one of its priority areas. And it's really important for us, as you could see from the first slide I show you, we're a long way away from other countries. So having a good network of computer areas and pipes that will connect us through the internet to the rest of the world is really important. And that's important for our businesses, but also for our science as well. And it's also important that we have the ability to handle large data sets for our science, for being able to solve complex problems and handle the large amounts of data that scientists currently collect through their research programs. So the government has put in place a number of initiatives. The one there is called the Karen Network, which is the Kiwi Advanced Research and Education Network that links our universities and Crown Research Institutes together. There's also another investment the government has made around developing a network of high-performance computers called the National E-Science Infrastructure. And alongside of that, we're looking at our policies about how we manage data to make sure that we're internationally best practice in that area too. And Julie Watson is going to talk to you a little more about these initiatives this afternoon. So I'd just like to say a few words about the our international linkages, and because this is a really important area for us to make sure that our science programs are linked internationally, and that's why it's great to have you all here today in this area. We're looking particularly for relationships that help to build capability in New Zealand. So as you'd be aware, New Zealand, because of our population of 4 million, we don't have a lot of science capability. We're stretched very thinly in a number of areas. So it's really good to partner with other organisations from around the world to build capability and give us depth. And as well, we're interested in working internationally on some of the big challenges like climate change. We realise that in New Zealand we can't solve that on our own, so we're really keen to link in globally to work on challenges like that. And we also see science as being important for part of developing diplomatic relationships with other countries that will help with benefit New Zealand. So some of the other initiatives and objectives in our international relationships fund is to ensure that we've got access to the best science in the world. We want our New Zealanders to do world-class research, and so we need to be connected internationally to be able to do that. And as well, we want to be able to have access to large-scale infrastructure. We can't have everything here in New Zealand, and it would be foolish to kind of replicate what's overseas as well. So we're wanting to work in and support our scientists to link into some of the large infrastructure around the world. So we have a number of major international partnerships, and these are the key kind of priority areas for us, and you can see that Europe is at the top of the list there. And currently it's quite a major focus for us, and about 40% of all the international linkages that we have through our research collaborations are with Europe, so it's quite a high priority area for us. And one of the key countries within Europe for us is Germany, and I'll talk a little bit later about some of the linkages that we have with Germany. And what we've found is that it's a very successful relationship from our point of view. One of our German coordinators calculated that for every dollar of investment that we make in relationships with Germany, that leverages about $4 to $8 worth of scientific benefit for us. So that's great from our side, and we hope that there's a reciprocal benefit that Germany feel from collaborating with us as well. So we support these New Zealand EU connections through a number of ways. We have a science counsellor based in Brussels, Carla Falloon, who has been a really key part in helping us get a science agreement signed with Europe. And Carla also helps to promote New Zealand in Europe. She is able to identify opportunities and also to help to remove any impediments that there are in working with New Zealand. We have this science agreement, and every year we get together with the Europeans to review how it's going and to identify areas for collaboration for the next few years. And we're very pleased with the success that New Zealand has had in being involved in European projects. In Framework 6, we were involved in 6 projects, and I was lucky enough to be involved in one of those. But out of Framework 7 so far, we're involved in 55 projects, so that's a really good success for us, and we're really pleased with that. One of the things that's been very successful is the ERC scheme, the International Relationship Staff Exchange scheme, and it's been a really great success for New Zealand. We're involved in quite a few projects. I think it's about 18 we're up to now. And one of the reasons that we were able to participate in that is because New Zealand actually has its own fund to help fund the participation of New Zealanders in that scheme. And Mark Billinghurst, who's here somewhere today, has been a recipient of one of those schemes, so we're very pleased with that. Some of the other initiatives that we have underway is a coordinator to help us with the German relationship, and we also have a number of bilateral schemes, travel grants that help us to work with Europe in a bilateral arrangements also with Spain and with France as well. So Spain in particular and France are both other key countries alongside Germany for us in Europe. So overall then, international science linkages are important to New Zealand, and so that's why it's very pleased to have you here today at this workshop, and I wish you a very successful workshop. So thank you.